Good morning. Good morning, guitar. Good morning, guitar. We've got just a little bit of sweat and salt on this guitar today. If you're tuning in, you might know, and if you're a long-time viewer, you might notice something's changed. Good morning, maybe it's Kevin here, and something has changed for today. It's not a glitch. It's we're just trying I'm trying something new, and I'm going to be talking to you. But if you need to communicate with me for some reason, if you would like to communicate with me for some reason, you can always email me at growth at jasoncareyguitar.com, growth at jasoncareyguitar.com, or you could email me at jason at jasoncareyguitar.com. So we're just trying, I wanted to invite you to do something. This is literally all this is about, is it is me modeling getting with the guitar every morning. That's it. And working through my guitar, just a warm-up. It's a morning ritual for guitar growth. And so I'm trying something different, because the live chat that we've had, I've decided, and the team has decided, that it's become a little bit of a distraction. So, and it's great, but it's really not much of a morning ritual if we're talking about everything other than what's going on in the moment with the guitar. So, tough choices get made, and we're going to try this out. I'm just going to try this out for a little while and see what this does for my guitar practice, because I feel like warming up is not to be, and tuning up isn't to be glorified by the masses. It's only for a few of us who really want to spend the time down. And I just want to use this time to watch myself grow over the next year, the last half of 2025. So I'm here every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard or Eastern Time this time of year, daylight time. But it's this time for me, I've been trying to explain that this is a sacred time. And then I've been trying to justify that to myself. So the way that I'm going to continue on with this is just work on the guitar the way it's intended for me to work on it at this time of day. I'll likely keep this time spot consistent for the remainder of the year. I'll keep the stream free for the remainder of the year. And if you do happen to see something in this video that you would like to track down, you're more than welcome to go back after this live stream is finished. You can go back if you need to, if you would like to, you can go back to watch this video and just make a note of the time of where you would like to go and revisit. And I do make these available on demand for you to go and re-watch at your leisure. So it's super simple, but what I don't want this stream to turn into is, you know, just another place where we just kind of goof off on the internet. There are plenty of other opportunities to do that, and one of my great mentors, not that I'm any different from anyone else, but at one of the music schools, he says, you know, Jason, and I'm just sharing with you truths, you know, it's nothing that they're just truths. I'm just sharing with you the things that just my little life experience has observed. And he says, Don says, that I remember showing, because I would show up, you know, at 6 o'clock in the morning and open up the university door, and then I would close the door. I would be the last one to leave every day. And so Don started coming in and blowing horn, and doing his warm-ups in the morning in the bigger room, and I could always hear him doing the cyclical breath. So if you're here with your guitar, this is actually a practice, a warm-up session. So I'm going to start warming up, and I'm using fingers 3 and 4 on frets 10 and 12. So it goes like this: 4 attacks per beat, and you can see our friend the metronome. Again, if you need to communicate with me, you can always do that at jasoncareyguitar.com. Jason, Jason, at jasoncareyguitar.com. You can also communicate to me through my website, jasoncareyguitar.com. jasoncareyguitar.com. And it's really, you know, if you have questions that are specific to guitar practice, or specific to some of the other things that I'm raising along the track here, the trail, please communicate with me, and please take the time to email me, because we read everything that comes through the door. All right, so let's go ahead and work on 4 attacks per beat. I'll get back into the story here in a moment. 1 E and a 2 E and a T E, 4 attacks per beat. 1 E and a 2 Z and a putting on my shoes. Here we go. 10 and 12 with fingers 2 and 4. And this is intended to be it's literally my morning ritual, my morning guitar wake-up call. What you're observing is something that you can join in and, you know, join along, and it's private, there's no noise, it's just about you and the guitar, you know, me and my guitar. Throughout the course of these sessions, we do, this is episode like 120 something, right? And so throughout these episodes, we do stretch. We do, you know, you can see right now that I'm working on finger stretches. So the finger stretch is really, it might be it's a good place to start for me. If it's not a good place to start for you, I totally get it. I totally understand. You could use fingers just that are, you know, on contiguous frets. The frets sort of like don't really matter. What really matters at this point is that we're working the fingers out. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the stretch going. 1 E and a 2, fingers 3 and 4, and 2 and 3 on 10 and 12, and here we go. That's right. And then once in a while, you'll notice that I talk, or I stop. I might stop talking. But it's about the guitar. It's got to be about your guitar. It's got to be about, it's not about me. It's not about going to the store and buying the bread, or hey, look at how many backflips I can do over here or over there. It's not about that. And it's just about doing the thing, taking care of the business. And good things, you know, taking care of where the rubber meets the road on your guitar. So anyway, you'll be happy to know I'm going to return to that story now. It's a great story, and I really admired Don, you know, and I grew to love Don, and he, my concrete operational Don. So he's fingers 1 and 2 on frets 10 and 12, and we'll go ahead and stretch these things. So 1 E and a 2 and a T, here we go. So he would show up, and he was a great mentor, and I used to ask him questions like, which I thought were deep questions at the time, because, you know, I was just young and just having these thoughts for the first time, and I forget what the question was, and he says, you know, he answered me. He said he thought about it. He always looked sort of perplexed, that Platonic Plato kind of dude, and Pythagorean Plato kind of dude. And he said, you know, Jason, most people, at least where I was, I guess, he says, most people come here to fool around with music. And I thought, that thought never actually occurred to me, you know. It never occurred to me that this was just a thing where you could just fool around. It's always been something that I take seriously, and other people on this on God's beautiful planet, on God's green earth, other people take this this seriously, but I think at the same time it's important to take it all with a grain of salt, you know, and it's not really, you know, is music super important? Is it a luxury? Is it one of those things that gets cut when your budget is constrained, when you have to tighten up your belt? I mean, do you cut your grocery bill first, or do you cut your music bill first, you know? Just have to ask yourself those things, and then it sort of puts things in perspective. But then still you have artists or musicians who, and both of which I aspire to be, and maybe one day, who just do it anyway, knowing that it's a commodity that's volatile, that the values in music shift based on public perspective and individual perspectives, and so fooling around with music. So let's do a little bit more warm up, and we'll let that story unfold for a moment. I wanted to reflect on that this morning. So 1 and 3 on 10 and 12, and a 2E and a D and a go. And I'm still working on 2 fingers, 4 attacks per beat, and you're more than welcome. I hope you're joining me with your guitar in hand. If you do have questions, I'm Jason, and it's very easy to connect with me. You can connect with me through my website at jasoncareyguitar.com, and you can email me anytime you would like. And let's go ahead and it's Jason at jasoncareyguitar.com or growth at jasoncareyguitar.com. You'll notice that spending the seat time down with your guitar, I've discovered no one else can spend your minutes for you. It's just not going to happen, right? So we're the ones, you and me, we're the ones carrying the torch, you know, whether it's for personal enjoyment or campfire, or, you know, weekend warriors, whether, you know, whatever it is, the goal structures that we have. If you're a beginner, you're wondering about, man, I've always wanted to play guitar, but my parents forced me to take piano lessons when I was a younger person, and I hated it, so I almost never came back to the guitar. But now I'm ready. I'm really thinking about learning the guitar. Maybe it doesn't really matter where we are in the stage of this process. What matters is that we care deeply about what it is we're doing, right? It could be riding the back of a garbage truck. It could be, getting on the back of the garbage truck, hanging on, grabbing the litter on the side of the road, emptying it into the compressor, and then the compactor, and then putting it back. I've taken the time to put the rubbish can back upright so the street looks good. It's I can take pride in anything I do. And I think that's an important thing to remember. So this is one of those expressions where I can observe just being directly connected with what I'm doing. And so if you're still here, and if you like to follow along, I'm using fingers 1 and 4 on an effort to just stretch out all of these little limbs here. We've got 4 limbs that we're using. I wanted to take a minute to show you what's going on with my hand here. So you can see that my thumb is the median behind fingers between 1 and 4. So the thumb is equally distributing pressure across the left hand. We're going to stretch after this. I don't have my goggles on today because there is no live chat today, but so I don't need to have my goggles on to read. It's good for me to be able to focus on what I'm actually doing, instead of relying on others to moderate a live chat. So I think it feels like it's time to take a break. So I've got a cup of tea here this morning. I've got some Tetley. It's British rounds. I learned to drink the Tetley British rounds with milk and sugar. It's black this morning because I'm cutting sugar from my diet. Like, you don't really need to know that, but I remember the fond memories of mountain tea, being high in the alpine zone. And you hear the roar of the single burner stove, and that's the sound of morale returning to the team. Or at the table, with your toast and lime marmalade with a nice cup of British tea. I'm using fingers 1 and 4 again after I'm just going to stretch. I'm going to walk us through a stretch. So stretch goes like this. Straight arms, 4. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Straighten that arm. Yeah, I can sense that you're doing this with me, right? I can sense that you're doing this, and you can feel what happens. You can feel that we want to stay in the green. We don't want to provide any micro tear. We don't want to tear anything. But you can also feel free to internally and externally rotate. And 16 clicks, so I figured 4 bars at 60 beats per minute on an up pull, on the upward stretch, is good. And then 4 bars or 16 beats in 4/4 common time at 60 beats per minute is good for a downward stretch. Everything that we do on this limb, of course, we do on the other limb, because I think we're largely symmetrical creatures. And it's a good thing to do. And I'm looking at my hands, I'm observing my hands, I'm observing our fingers all straight. I'm just hugging my wrist in here, I'm pushing it, pulling it down. I don't want to encourage or exacerbate any existing injuries. So being mindful of my own physiology, my own body, and then my own, situation, I can do the stretching that needs to occur. And what happens, after this stretch is done, every single time after I stretch, every 15 minutes, if I'm playing for 1 hour, which I am every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I stretch every 15 minutes, and it's like every time I stretch, I always feel like a brand new player after I finish my stretch. So this is a super important part of what I'm doing for myself as a guitar practitioner, caring for my own situation. And so if you're here, if you happen to be here still, and I applaud you for spending the seat time down with your guitar. It's a great thing to do, and it's a wonderful thing to do. I know you'll likely come and go. I'm going to stretch my shoulders here too a little bit. Roll them up and back. Get the shoulders pushed back here. Sit up straight. Do a little shoulder twist. Little shoulder twist here. And I think that's pretty much all of the stretching I'm going to do at this moment. Get right back on it. So we have fingers 2 and 3 and 4. And here we go. 10, 11, and 12 on frets 10, 11, and 12. Fingers 2 and 3 and 4. You can see the capo is right here behind the fret 0. And 1 E and a 2, 4 attacks per beat. Here we go. Go. If you would like, you can tap your foot. I put a box underneath my feet so it resonates. You know, a pine box. And then I found, like, if you use both feet, it can feel like you're walking down the street, you know. So if you put that, if you don't put this, you don't need to do this. I have drummer friends who refuse to physically move while they're practicing time. They say, he's one guy, he's the late great Mr. what's his name, and he always said the rhythm that he expresses from the universe is cerebral. He doesn't need to move. All of his pulse and all of his person internally was, you know, aligning with the tempo of the moment. So everyone approaches this differently, you know. But if you get your walking man game on, or walking woman game on, or whatever it is you're walking, you've got fingers going, pick hand going, and then your feet are kind of giving you that gross motor, so it's inviting the rhythmic pattern into your body, so you're literally absorbing that rhythmic pattern. Let's go ahead and try this again with fingers 1 and 2 and 3, and let's see. I always wondered how, like, really well-known drummers, like, who play in with double bass drums or double bass pedals, or I always wondered how they could play that, do this so quickly, and it's just, I just admire that so much. 1 E and 2, here we go, 10, 11, and 12 fingers, 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah, you know what to do. And if we don't know what to do, just pause for a minute and think about it, and then we can, hopefully something comes to us. But if you do have questions about what it is to do, and if you do have questions about, you know, hey, how exactly did he do this 1, 2, 3 exercise, and why did he do it? Or if you have any of those fundamental questions, don't let them go I would recommend don't let them go unanswered. I would recommend just emailing me, zip us a line at jason@jasoncareyguitar or growth@jasoncareyguitar.com, and then you can also connect with me through the website. You can sign up for our newsletter, which is really cool, and right there in the form of the top of the page. Super simple. We don't get spammy. We always deliver, you know, if we're publishing or pushing out content, it's always intended with the user in mind. It's not really meant for entertainment purposes, but there's some interesting stuff going on. So if you do sign up, you know, love to see you, okay? All right, so there's all of those fingers, 2, 3, and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 done. Now I'm going to, those were contiguous fingers, so now I'm leaving a moment here where I can use, and I appreciate, I can see that there are some likes up here. And if you are here, if you wouldn't mind smashing that like button or double tapping the screen if you're on a mobile viewport, that's great, love it, super excited about any support like that. So I'm going to take that fingers 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to use fingers 1 and 2 and 3, and then I'm going to split those up into non-contiguous grouping. So I'll have, for now, I'll have fingers 1 and 2 and 4, and then after this we'll have 1 and then 3 and 4. Here, let me put it against some contrast here. So we'll have 1 and 2 and 4 that we use here, and then 1 and 3 and 4. Okay, so we'll start with 1 and 2 and 4, and these are all, you know, basically contiguous frets. We're using frets 9, 11, and 12. Here we go. You know what to do, and there it is. And so we're using still 3 notes per string. So we're alternating every time we start the next 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 4 finger pattern. It's an alternate pick stroke. So we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 down. So it creates a really interesting rhythmic grid, or counterpoint to the against the 4/4 time. So don't miss out on working those feels. Those feels are super important, you know. If you are here and you're joining me, you know, I'm here thank you, first of all. I'm here every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you are more than welcome to join me for free this whole year. So super excited about it. Still, like, I can't believe that I'm actually able to sit with the guitar every weekday morning. It's somewhat of a miracle, and I don't want to overlook or underappreciate or undervalue this period in my life, because there are a lot of things that have to line up and continue lining up for me to do this, right? So, you know, it is what it is. There you go. So frets 9, 10, and 12. 1 E and a 2 E and a T E and a do E here. Oh yeah, if you're sticking around, I broke down yesterday. We filmed at one of the beaches on the East Coast. It was just an unreal day, and I have a session for you. It's a very loose but very focused at the same time. I don't know if you'll get what I mean when you see the video. It's a sweet child of mine, but it's arranged for the guitar with a little bit of chord melody. You can do it. It doesn't matter what level guitar you're at. It will still just sound awesome. You know, it'll sound super and be a ton of fun to play. It'll break everything down very clearly, and of course you can, you know, pause and watch what's going on, rewind, and all of that stuff. Whoa, snuck a third finger in there. So if you do have the opportunity to watch it, just let me know what you think about the sequence of the video in the comments, if you don't mind leaving a comment. And if you want, you can always, you know, I just welcome email communication. You know, jason@jasoncareyguitar.com. Very simple, very easy to get in touch with me. But, you know, I'm only really barely qualified to talk about guitar stuff. So I just try to stay focused on these guitar questions. If you do email me from henceforth, if you do decide that you want to communicate with me, if you wouldn't mind to give the tag and the subject header, the subject line of the email, morning ritual for guitar growth, that would be helpful so that we can, morning ritual, we tag that so it goes to a certain box or whatever, so we know where things are coming from and what we have to look at and when. So morning ritual for guitar growth. All right, 1E. Oh, let's go ahead and jump back to, we started with 2 fingers and we went through all of those 2-finger permutations pretty much. We went through 3-finger permutations, and then we went through, which were contiguous finger groupings. Then we went through, non-contiguous finger groupings. And then now what we're doing, I think, is a good idea to, graduate back to 4 fingers. Every day we'll gradually reapproach being a 4-finger guitar player. Here we go, 1E and 2, TE and boat and go. 9, 10, 11, and 12, you know what to do. And what I'm really looking for here is continuity of tone. Continuity of tone is the string thicknesses change. Picking angle changes as the radius of the forearm sweeps slowly, watch this, up to the high E string. The high E string is the thinnest E string in my book and in most books. And what happens is, as we approach the upper end of the guitar, we typically tend to push a little harder. What I try to do is I try to be mindful that I want to start at about, between 25 and 50% of my picking capacity, of my loudness. That I have the potential to create more loudness on this guitar, for example, than I might on my, one of my Morgans, which is sort of a more delicately crafted guitar. You don't really want to be banging or beating on that thing. So, that being said, each electric guitar and each amplifier, they all have these relationships where you can ask certain things, and I think that's why we get so excited, isn't it, about different instruments, because each instrument unlocks a new voice, right? A new color in the palette, a new tool for the kit, right? So it could take a little bit of time to get familiar with the new axe, or a new amp, or a new guitar, a new string set, new pick, new capo, new microphone. These are all about relationship development. And let's go ahead and stretch that 4th finger. So we're going to stretch the 4th finger. I just think it's really important to be as comfortable as you can while you're practicing the guitar. Flowing clothing is good, and I feel like, it might look better if I had a hat on, but it's not how it works for me in the morning. So we'll just continue. I wanted to encourage you to be comfortable. Find a comfortable seat. Find a comfortable set of clothing that you could turn into, the same way. I'm going to use the Mr. Rogers reference. So Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, on the show would always come in. He'd always come in and change his shoes. He'd put his different cardigan on, a different sweater, and it was the house outfit. And so it's okay if you have like a set of your, cabana wear. Maybe it's like, organic threaded cotton top and cotton pants that are just loose fitting. And that's a great way to start the day, like you're at the beach, the cabana wear, right? So you've got a really good, comfortable approach to the guitar. Good healthy start. You know, your body's not constricting any of your situation. Posture, you can work on maintaining posture, like I try to do that. So let's go ahead and work fingers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Here we go. 1 E and 2. 9, 10, 11, and 13. Got a snapshot of that. So finger 1's just kicking it up a fret. 1 E and 2. You know what to do. And you'll notice I started with an upstroke, so everything here is all beginning with upstroke. I figured it's fair, you know, gravity, I already prefer downstrokes because of gravity. But you know, it's important to me at least, and to for the sound of the guitar, for constant tonal quality, to be familiar and ready to grab strings with an upstroke that is at what the tone should be as leadership oriented as a downstroke. Do you know what I mean by that? You know what I mean by that. The upstroke needs to be the leader of the situation. And the same way the downstroke would be the leader of the situation when moving, especially when moving from one string to the next. And this is really what the morning ritual for guitar growth looks like. I'm here with you every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the entire year of 2025. I'm here doing this, and what I'm going to do is take a look at the first video I did and a look at the last video I'm going to do at the end of the year and lay them upon the records for examination. So I should be able to see, because I'm roughly going to be doing 260 hours over the span of 2025 in just warm-ups. You know, of course I'm doing other practicing, but I want to take a look at just a snapshot, a visual snapshot of where I am. It could be an audio recording of the same song, or it could be you know, a video of the morning ritual. So I'm doing this. I'm doing all of the above, but just want to see what exactly do I get if I spend 260 hours with a guitar over the span of a year, right? If nothing else, I want to have that record of growth. I think it will be growth. You know, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it's going to be growth. I'm hoping it will be growth. To feel a little bit warmed up here. So what comes next for me is the kickstand, right? So I'm just here every weekday morning doing the kickstand. I like to get to the kickstand because it causes me to have to reach a little bit for it. I have to work for it, you know. So fingers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're going to come right back to 1, 2, 3, 4. There are some other things I really wanted to share with you about 1, 2, 3, 4 and what happens when we do become 4-finger guitar players again. So stick around for that. It's just one moment. We'll go down, complete this exercise, and then we'll jump back into that, okay? 1 E into 2, T into 4, but we're starting on 8, 10, 11, and 12. 1 E into 2, and you know what to do. Yeah. If you're here and if you do need to ask me a question, you can always email me at jason@jasoncareyguitar.com. Happy to hear your questions. Happy to receive what you have to say. Maybe maybe it's an observation you wanted to share with somebody. But as the emails come in, we'll start to respond to some of those on this live stream here, okay? So as the emails arrive, as those questions come, we'll talk about it. You know, who are you, and what is the situation that you wanted to, either improve maybe, or what's the situation you wanted to investigate with the guitar. So don't hesitate to give us an email. And then, if it makes sense, we respond to it right here in this live, it's the morning live stream. So that can be kind of a cool way to interact. And I wanted to thank our channel moderators, because we have had some really, I wanted to thank Kevin Hawes in particular for being really focused and really, I was just talking about this yesterday, just observing this yesterday. Starting always ready at the start of the hour, always there at the bottom of the hour, and there, just to kind of like help things be tuned up, the conversation. So I'm not sure if we're going to need that at this point for the morning live stream, but we're trying a new format. But I didn't want to let that go. I wanted to thank you for that, for certain. All right. Okay. So here's one more thing. So we can work on going up to 2 fingers. This 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise for me. I've got to think about this a little bit because there are so many permutations and so many ways that we can break up and investigate fret hand activity that starting with a basic pattern should give you the idea. And let's see. I don't know where it is, but I use a book that if I have ideas, musical ideas, I have several of these different books for different places and different locations, so I don't lose a copy. But if I had an idea for a permutation of the, let's say it's not a chromatic scale, it's a chromatic-style scale, because we have, notes are going fret-wise, 1 fret at a time, and then we leap to the next string, right? But a chromatic scale would have us moving from C sharp, D, E, D sharp, E, and then that's E to F sharp, but we wouldn't, in a chromatic scale, we wouldn't overlook, if we were executors of the chromatic scale, we would have to play the Fs and then all of the notes in between. So the chromatic scale looks like this. On every string, we actually we rise 1 string, go back 1 fret, and then we can connect with every note in an unbroken sequence of the chromatic scale up to a point. So we typically do this so we can learn about just observing what's called a position player. I'm playing the position here, and I'm really thinking about what is the benefit to playing a position, being a position player. Number 1, what is the position that I'm in now? 9. Well, all right, good. If I'm walking through, let's move that position. Let's expand on that position playing idea. I'm in 9th position. Then, in order to play through the chromatic scale, I'm in 8th position, 7th position, 6th, and then because the B string is tuned, it's a little funny, you know what I mean? So the B string is tuned differently, so we don't have to shift back, but when we get back to the high E string, we do have to shift back. Good. So it's position 7, 6, 6 again, and then 5. And then when we descend, I'm thinking, I've got to watch finger 1, otherwise I'll never know where finger 4 is supposed to land. Position 5, position 6, position 6 again, position 7, And if I move down one string, up one fret with finger one, if I'm a position player, all of those fingers are moving in parallel with as position players. So I know that the 9th position has my fingers a little crunchier than if I'm playing first position, right? So as we move over the span of the guitar neck, so too does our fret hand expand and contract to meet the obligations of a position player, right? So that's all I wanted to talk about with that. It's really simple, chromatic scale, and I don't know if we've ever practiced the chromatic scale, but we're going to. Let's try it. Starting on position 9, it's 8, 7, 6, 5. I'm going to use 2 attacks per beat just to get through it. I know it's going to be a little slow for some of us and fast for others, but it's a good place to just observe the first pass through it. 1, 1 and 2, and here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then so on and so forth. Stay on 6, position 5, and then position 5, position 6, and that gives us position 6. Position 7 gives us, it informs where the 4th finger is supposed to be as we descend. So if my finger's not where it's supposed to be, I'll get these little crispy notes, the crispy, crunchy, burnt ends, We all love burnt ends, man. If you're in a barbecue, you know what burnt ends are just like amazing. They're to die for, but we don't always want those on the guitar, though. You know what I mean? It's just, we want clarity. Oop, I missed a position here, so getting that, oh man, what happens? Just get, gotta pay attention to where my first finger is my problem. There it is. There it is. Let's try 5s. Yeah, there's so much to do on the guitar. So part of the joy of this is that we get to stretch out a little bit. If we're going to put the time in, it's probably a good idea to reserve a few minutes. Like I've got about 10 minutes left. I really can't see the screen, so I'm thinking like, what would be cool to do to close this out? I'm going to start working on. We've got this thing that I like to do the diagonal pattern. If you've been with me for a little while, you know the diagonal pattern is of value. 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we invert that 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then descend one position to, let's use finger numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Then descend the position, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. And 4 attacks per beat, and we are off and running. We've got this really nice approach to 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a very square sort of binary form. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4s, and then we move the same package to the 4 middle strings. And this is just a morning ritual. This is all part of the morning ritual for Guitar Grove. which I do here on YouTube live every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Working on the breath, working on the posture, working on all of those things that we are intended to work on as guitar practitioners. You know, I'm always working on just trying to find ways to remove noise from my, the busy life. We all have 21st century lives, so with it comes all of that 21st century stress, and part of what's going on here, part of the reason why we're doing this is to help those of us who are also searching for that kind of guitar practice. An uninterrupted, high value 1 hour. So 260 hours. What's 260 hours worth to you? If you were going to clock in and out, what do you get paid for 260 hours of your time? What kind of funds inspire you to trade 260 hours of your life? So you can see, like, immediately the value is there. It's like 260 hours. Geez, if I make, I don't know, let's say I make $10 an hour. I mean, there's some value right there. There's some value there, and then you multiply that by, 5, and then or 10 even. So it really is valuable to be doing this for yourself. But it might not be for everybody. But if it is for you, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you and hear your questions and observations about the guitar at Jason at jasoncareyguitar.com. And you can visit jasoncareyguitar.com and also connect with us and download the free 5x5 it's a PDF. It's a 5x5 for guitar growth. And it's free. You can have it, and then just expand your own things. Use it if it's something that you want to use. It's there for you for free. So at jasoncareyguitar.com, you can go and download it again for free. So it's I don't know, 8 or 10 pages or something. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. Stuff I use personally for myself, and stuff I really enjoy. And if you're already using it, I'd love to hear what you think about it, and maybe we can edit it, add a little bit more to it. But it's there. And also, I wanted to invite you to join me for, maybe you're here because you've been joining me for my Ted Green's chord chemistry series right here at Jason Carey Guitar, where we talk a little bit about, we do a deep dive. I don't know, we're 50 something lesson sessions in. We're walking through chord chemistry, Ted Green's chord chemistry, page by page, word by word, and chord by chord. And so this is a great place to come and get the fingers stretched out and ready to articulate some of those really crazy chords, right? And then you have access to all of these things that wouldn't be necessarily accessible. Getting the fingers sort of dialed in and stretched and ready to do these things that would otherwise be inaccessible. So that's part of what is working here for me, is the ability to develop. Let's say I wanted to develop a finger stretch for this right here. So I know this is a really great voicing. It's a very common inversion of a C major 7 with a 3, the 7, the 1, and the 5 on the top, and then the major 7. You can use all kinds of different voicings or variations of this one pattern. It's all there for you, But this is a little stretchy. So what am I doing to get that stretch, right? So I might develop a, so I noticed that I need to stretch from fret 5 to fret 7. So that's four frets. So I might just do a 5 fret stretch. So 2, 4, 5 fret, or a perfect fourth. Here comes bright, dun, 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 dun. Right. So there's. I might do these exercises, but also another thing that I could do. I know that if I'm practicing a pattern that I know that it deserves to be, you know, slowly observed and carefully observed and performed or played, but also there are also these permutations, right? So 1, 4, and then roll back to 1, 4. So there are all kinds of different ways to approach all of these finger patterns that we're doing. And I hope over the span of our time together, I hope to encourage you to go and find those new patterns, you know, to go and find those for yourself, because those are the patterns that are going to distinguish you as a player. You could even just do this. You know, what happens if I wanted to take that for a walk here? I can go through. I have a step over exercise that I remember all of a sudden. So I know that if I use finger 2, if I start with finger 1, I can use finger 2 to step over. Finger 1, step over with 2. Finger 1, step over with 2. If I use finger 2, step over with 1. And then I have to roll over with finger 2. So that can be a real game changer for some of us, right? All right. Well, I hope you've had a good time today. I know I've had a wonderful time with you today. And if you do have questions, I'm Jason, and I'm thankful that you're here, that you're a practicing guitar player. I'm very interested in you celebrating your accomplishments on the guitar. And I'm so happy that you're doing this for yourself. And just keep going. Keep doing the thing. And we'll meet again tomorrow morning. I'll be back here tomorrow morning at 7:30. Good Lord willing, I'll be back here with a guitar at 7:30. And maybe I'll see you again then. All right. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for sticking around and being here practicing your guitar. And until we meet again, I wish you happy picking.